Bracket games live now. CBS Sports app and cbssports.com/bracket. Scan that QR code. It'll take you right there. Sign up. Printable brackets. Play with your friends. Join big leagues all around the country. It's all right there for the men's and the women's side. But we're going to focus on the men. What?
The men's and the women's side?
The men's and the women's, yes. Okay. The men's and the women's. Amanda Guerra, woman. Gary Parrish, mans. Chris Hassel, mans. Let's fill out a bracket, Gary, starting in the South region where Auburn is the #1 overall seed.
Yeah, obviously, I don't really care who wins that first 4 game that'll be played later tonight. I will take Auburn to win in the round of 64 and advance to the round of 32, where I'll have them playing Louisville. Obviously, most 8-9 games are going to be competitive by nature, but Louisville is only playing 70 minutes from its campus inside Rupp Arena in Lexington. I think that's going to be enough to give them an advantage over the Blue Jays. I'll take Louisville to advance. Michigan coming off of a Big Ten tournament title. I'll take Dusty May into the round of 32. And then Texas A&M, they've got those really good guards, most notably Wade Taylor IV. Bud Williams' team gets past Yale into the round of 32. I've got Ole Miss, Chris Beard's Rebels, advancing into the round of 32, regardless of who wins San Diego State, North Carolina. And then I've got Iowa State. I do not love that Keyshawn Gilbert has been ruled out of this NCAA tournament. He's obviously an important part of that team, but I'll still take Iowa State to at least get to the round of 32. I've got Marquette over New Mexico. Terrific guard matchup there. Cam Jones, as you know, my little homie from Memphis, has been a star up at Marquette for 4 seasons. Love seeing him finish his college career with a deep tournament run. I think he will at least get that first round win. And then I've got Michigan State over Bryant. Going back up to the top, I've got Auburn getting past Louisville. I don't think that the Tigers should be having to play a team 70 miles from its own campus in the round of 32, given that Auburn is the #1 overall seed. I feel like the committee did them wrong here, but they're still good enough, despite the way they've been playing lately, to get past Louisville in Lexington. I've got Auburn over Louisville. I've got Michigan getting past Texas A&M. Ole Miss over Iowa State. I think that's where the Keyshawn Gilbert injury starts to show up. Michigan State past Marquette. So I've got Auburn and Michigan in the Sweet 16. Obviously, the SEC champs against the Big Ten tournament champs. I will take Auburn to get past Michigan. I'll take Ole Miss to get past Michigan State. That would obviously be an upset. And I would have 2 SEC schools in the Elite 8 of that South region. Auburn against Ole Miss.
Don't worry, Gary. I've written it all down by hand, so I've advanced everybody. You did a great job, by the way, moving through that. I was
going to say, not even being able to see the graphics right there. He did a phenomenal job.
We're good.
Let's head to the West region here. You got Florida is the #1 seed there. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I will be jumping on the Florida bandwagon for this tournament here. Also back-to-back defending champs, UConn, who took a while to get going, but they are certainly going now, Gary. Reveal this one for us.
At Florida, I'm not going to pick them to lose a 1-16 game. The Gators are coming off an SEC tournament championship. They are second at KenPom right now. They should obviously cruise in a 1-16 matchup. Let's advance them. I've got UConn over Oklahoma. I think this is a nice reset place for Dan Hurley, his staff, and his roster. I apologize.
You're not really an Oklahoma basketball fan, are you?
Let the man speak, Chris.
You just booed him.
It's fine. Keep going, Gary.
Amanda was the booer. I got UConn over Oklahoma, and I think this is a nice reset spot for Dan Hurley and his staff and his roster. They've been chasing rankings and quad 1 wins and everything since going 0-3 in Maui. Now none of that stuff matters anymore. They're just playing a bracket that they have navigated quite well over the previous 2 seasons. Obviously, different cast of characters, but I do think UConn can get past Oklahoma in that round of 64. I've got my alma mater, Memphis, getting past Colorado State, but I do not like what I'm hearing about Tyrese Hunter and his foot. Memphis expected to make an official announcement about Tyrese Hunter at some point soon, but nothing I'm hearing suggests that he is likely to play in that game. Still, I'll take the Tigers, led by P.J. Haggerty, to advance. I've got Maryland moving into the round of 32. Drake over Missouri in what would be an upset. Ben McCollum, big name on the coaching carousel right now. Missouri has lost 4 or 5 entering Selection Sunday. I'll take Drake to get past them. Texas Tech Tech over UNCW. I've got Kansas over Arkansas. High-profile matchup, Bill Self, John Calipari in the round of 64. I'll take the Jayhawks, preseason #1, to get past the Arkansas team that's been better but never really great. And then St. John's and Rick Pitino also advancing into the round of 32. You circle back up. I've got that Florida-UConn matchup. This is where the Huskies' quest to be back-to-back-to-back champs officially ends. Florida over UConn. I've got Memphis over Maryland. P.J. Haggerty named a second-team AP All-American today. Keep an eye on him. He plays in the AAC, so maybe not a lot of people have seen him, but he has been a terrific guard this season. Big-time scorer. Memphis over Maryland. I've got Texas Tech getting past Drake. I've got St. John's getting past Kansas. In the Sweet 16, it would be Florida and Memphis. I've got the Gators over the Tigers. And then I've got St. John's getting past Texas Tech to set up an Elite Eight matchup in that West region between Florida and St. John's. That would be #1 versus #2 in the West region.
Okay, we're taking you up to the Elite Eight right now, and then Gary's going to tell us who his champion is and how the Final Four goes and all of that. But let's go up to the East region now, Gary, where the Duke Blue Devils, not only are they the odds-on favorite, but Sportsline has Duke winning this tournament almost 1 out of every 4 simulations.
Yeah, regardless of whether Cooper Flagg is in uniform or not on Friday, I suspect Duke has no problems in the round of 64. Let's put them in the round of 32. Well, they'll be waiting on the winner of Mississippi State Baylor. I'll take the Bulldogs in that one. Chris Jan's team advances to the round of 32. I've got Oregon over Liberty. I've got Arizona advancing. VCU over BYU in a matchup of letters, I guess. Wisconsin, I've got getting past Montana. I've got St. Mary's getting past Vanderbilt, and Alabama advancing as well. Go back up to the top. I'm going to put Duke past Mississippi State. I'm going to put Arizona past Oregon. VCU over Wisconsin would be a big upset, a Big Ten power getting knocked off by the A-10 regular season co-champs and the A-10 tournament champs. I've got VCU into the Sweet 16. I've got Alabama also joining them in the Sweet 16. And so then the Sweet 16 is Duke, Arizona, VCU, and Alabama. I've got Duke advancing. I've got VCU getting past Alabama. A-10 tournament champs. I'm a believer in that team. I've seen them a lot. They've got power conference players in a non-power conference. Not enough to get past Duke, but enough to get to the Elite Eight. Duke and VCU playing with a chance to go to the Final Four in the East Region Final.
Love them.
Okay, all right, I see it. I do have a copy of this here, so I'm cheating. Gary, I've also not filled out my bracket, so I will be using this. So let's go to the final region here, Midwest here. You have Houston here as the #1 seed. They have won more games than any school in the past 2 seasons. And, excuse me, look at it. I mean, some upsets if you call them it, but it doesn't look like anything massive.
I don't see Houston having any problems early on. SIUE has been tremendous under Brian Baroni. It's a great story, but Houston should have no problems there. I've got Gonzaga getting past Georgia to keep their streak of Sweet 16 appearances alive, at least temporarily. Clemson over Will Wade, the Clemson graduate. Clemson moves on to the round of 32. Purdue past High Point. Illinois past Texas and Xavier winner. Whoever wins it, I'll take Illinois to advance. Kentucky over Troy. Utah State past UCLA. Tennessee, obviously, over Wofford. Go back up to the top. I'm going to have Houston beating Gonzaga, and that means the Zag streak of Sweet 16 appearances, remarkable, 9. It should end there. I've got Clemson getting past Purdue. I've got Illinois getting past Kentucky. I just think the injury stuff at some point is going to be too much for Mark Pope's program to deal with. And then Tennessee over Utah State. So in the Sweet 16, we would have Houston over Clemson. I will take Kelvin Sampson's Cougars to eliminate Clemson. And then I've got Tennessee over Illinois, setting up an Elite Eight matchup between the Houston Cougars and Rick Barnes' Tennessee Vols.
Okay, so going into the Elite Eight, had an opportunity here for a all 4 1-seed Final Four. Amanda, that hasn't only happened once, and it happened way back in 2008. One time. 2008, that's when the Kansas Jayhawks won it all. Gary, take us through here as you get to your national championship.
I do have Auburn beating Ole Miss. Chris Beard has done a remarkable job turning Ole Miss into a nationally relevant program in year 2, but those are just two different caliber of basketball teams, I think. I'll take Auburn to get to the Final Four for the second time under Bruce Pearl. I've got St. John's beating Florida. I know Florida is a lot of people's trendy Final Four pick, even national championship pick right now, and I'm not here to argue against it. The Gators have obviously been great. St. John's was never going to have the resume stuff to get in the top seed conversation. They just weren't going to have the quadrant 1 wins that Auburn or Florida had. But St. John's is your outright Big East champions, Big East tournament champions, coached by an all-time great, got the Big East Player of the Year, elite defensively, and coming out of the conference that has provided the sport with our past 2 national champions. They check a lot of boxes. Obviously, it'd be a wonderful story to have Rick Pitino at the Final Four. I'm going to predict that he's going to get there. Duke, VCU in the East Regional Final. This is where I think the dream ends for the Rams. Duke and Cooper Flagg on to San Antonio. And then I've got Houston getting past Tennessee. So I've got a Final Four, 3 number 1 seeds, and then the 2 seeds, St. John's, out of the West region.
What? Why are you sighing so much?
No, I just,
Tell Gary why you're sighing.
Gary is in midweek bracket form. He really is. I mean, he's in much better form than we are here, I think. How many times have you done this, Gary?
I don't know what I've done, how many times, or where I've done it, or what I've said. I just keep putting in AirPods and saying, ask me something. Just ask me something, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability.
I have a question for you, because I feel like a lot of fans filling out their brackets this week are scared of a few teams, Auburn in particular, because of the way they closed the season. Why do you think that they are going to rebound and regain who they were a few weeks ago?
Totally fair point. I understand the skepticism. Auburn did lose 3 of 4 going into the NCAA tournament, and quite literally no team has ever won an NCAA tournament after losing 3 of its 4 previous games. So history is not on Auburn's side. But Chris, Amanda, I think I can explain where it is that things got twisted up a little bit for Auburn. You know when it was? The second that they wrapped up the outright SEC title, the second that people like me started going on TV and podcast and saying Auburn could lose every game between now and Selection Sunday and still be the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. The second that their coach went on TV and said, we feel like we've locked up everything or something close to that. It's natural to then let your foot off the gas, so to speak, at some point. When people are already telling you you've accomplished everything you can accomplish so far, now we look forward to the NCAA tournament where we're going to be the number 1 overall seed no matter what happens going forward. Then you slip up and you lose to Texas A&M. And then you expect to bounce back and beat Alabama, but then, you know, it's a top 10 team and they catch you. And then Florida is second at Ken Palm and they catch you. So I know that they did lose 3 of 4, but it was 3 games to top 4 seeds in this NCAA tournament, 3 losses to teams in the top 20 of the net, and 3 losses that came after they were told you don't really have anything to play for anymore. I think this is a wonderful place for Bruce Pearl to reset his entire roster. All right, remember when I told you we were good? That's over. We can't lose anymore. We could afford to take losses and still get a 1 seed, even the number 1 overall seed. We cannot lose anymore. Let's get back to who we were. I can't promise you they will, but I won't be surprised if they do.
Yeah, they were clearly the number 1 team in the country up until they clinched that SEC championship and the number 1 overall seed.
Turn off your phones. Like Rich Rod is banning TikToks. You know, if I'm Bruce Pearl, I'm just saying turn off your phones for the rest of the tournament.
No more dancing on TikTok. Can we make that a rule for everybody of all ages?
You're going to have to talk to people that we work with.
Gary, thank you so much. Join our bracket games on the CBS Sports app and cbssports.com/bracket. It's free. Might as well join.